Hey guys, welcome back to the Calibrate Tools DIY channel. Back at it again. How's everybody doing? Everybody all right out there in the world? Yeah, we're going to talk about a very interesting topic. It's been a hot topic lately. And, I figured I'd touch on it because it is kind of related to home improvement, right? It's related to homes, it's related to real estate, it's related to you guys in general. Has to do with your rights, right? Has to do with your rights. And I'm sure you guys are interested in what rights are being I don't taken away or who's taking away your rights, who's taking advantage of certain rights, and that seems to be happening in the world of squatting. Okay, squatting's been all over the news in the last few months, and that's partly because of certain individuals who are championing the cause of squatter removal, shall I say? Because man, when you dive deep into the subject, you come to see that um, who's benefiting here, right? Who's writing these laws? I mean, when you really look into it, it's like wow, it's crazy, right? It's crazy. So we're gonna dive a little deeper into the subject, and I do want to give a shout out of sorts to the guy who's championing the squatter cause. His name is Flash Shelton. You've probably seen him on the news, in the media, and he's out there doing the thing. He's out there getting squatters out of people's homes so they can move on. Whether it's fix and flippers, whether it's just people, just owners who have rentals, man. And you'll be surprised of the type of people that are squatters. You just can't peg them into just one type of person. They're not just the vagrant looking person who's just taking over somebody's abandoned home. No, that's not the case. Believe it or not, a lot of squatters are, these are fully functioning individuals, business people, professionals. You will be surprised. But let's dive a little bit into the weeds here. We're going to talk about um, the rights of squatters, and what they have, particularly in California. That's pretty much what I did the research on. But this is a nationwide thing, and yeah, it's talk about your peace of mind being robbed from you, right? You worked all your life to get a piece of the so-called American dream, which is a home, and then to have somebody come in there, who you thought was, you rented to them in good faith, or you let them stay there in good faith. It could be even a family member, right? And they stay there, don't pay rent, and they just don't leave, and they have rights not to leave. Um, if you guys have experience with this, please let me know in the chat. Um, I do have, like I said, I do know about certain squatter removal individuals who will take care of business for you. But yeah, it can be a very heart wrenching experience for a lot of people. And what's sad about it is a lot of elderly individuals experience this. Right? They have their whatever relatives come and stay with them, and they just get taken advantage of. Right? And so why is this allowed? Why is this allowed? Now, fortunately, certain states have, kicked it into gear, and they have passed laws recently to, change certain squatter laws and take away the rights of squatters, which is a good thing. I mean, because just put yourself in the place of an individual who owns these homes, right? Or you may be a real estate person that owns property and you're trying to sell it, but you can't sell it because you got somebody staying on the property that you can't get off. And it's it can take months to evict a person if you're just talking about a tenant, a bad tenant. But imagine them just squatting on your place for years, right? Years upon years, and imagine all the income lost because of that. And so a lot of people are experiencing this right now as I speak. And you may even know somebody. Hell, you may even be a squatter yourself, But hey, so let's dive into it. By the way, guys, don't forget to come in the chat and give your take on what you think about this situation. California squatter rights. Let's talk about California. Who does the state of California consider a squatter? Yeah. Once again, guys, it's not who you think it is. It can be that person that, it can be your coworker. It can be the nurse that took care of you at the hospital. It can even be the doctor. It could be the lawyer that defended you in court. It could be. It's not just the homeless guy or girl out there squatting on properties. Okay. Um, yeah, you'll be surprised of who's actually a squatter. All right. It can be a realtor, right? It could be the person that sold you a house. They can be they can be squatting on somebody's property, right? All right. Let's talk about it. As a California property owner, finding yourself with a squatter living on your property can be frustrating, to say the least, right? Particularly if you're just starting out as a rental property owner. A squatter isn't someone that you can just wish away. Yeah, exactly. Let's stop right there. You can't just wish them away, guys. That's why you got to be careful who you let on your residence, on your property, who stays with you. I mean, it can be a best friend, okay, that can turn into your worst enemy, right? So just be careful, right? You just can't tell them to leave, especially if they've been there a long time. It can be a girlfriend, boyfriend, somebody, and yeah. As per California's legal statuses, squatters have rights. As such, removing them can be a challenge. Yeah, of course it can. Yeah, in this article, we take you through everything you need to know about squatter rights. Armed with that knowledge, you'll be able to protect your property and profitability. Yeah. I don't know if you guys saw that video came out maybe a few weeks ago of a lady in New York who tried to get the squatter out. And apparently she did it, in the wrong way. And she ended up being the one getting arrested. And I think the squatter got let go. I'm not quite sure, but I know the owner ended up getting arrested. And you got to be careful how you approach these situations. There's a right and a wrong way. Now, I know it can cause some serious emotional distress, right? When you have the situation happening to you. But if you act out of emotion, guess what? You're going to find yourself in some hot water because of these squatter rights that are on the books now. Now, mind you, I said a couple of states, I think Florida and New York recently have changed their squatter right laws. And hopefully this spreads throughout the nation, right? And, things are going to change. But as of now, the majority of states in the U.S. have, squatters are entitled to certain rights. And that's why they do it in the first place. Yeah. Okay, so let's see here. Who is a squatter, guys? What is the legal definition of a squatter? A squatter is anyone who takes up residence in a home that they don't own without lawful permission. Okay, and a lot of squatters, you got to give it to them. They go all out. They go all out, and they're thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead. They're going out there, they're forging the paperwork, they're making up fake paperwork, fake leases, saying that they're a legal tenant and all this other stuff. And you just got to dig a little deeper, if you plan on dealing with this situation efficiently and properly, to see if they are the legal owner, right? And most of the time you'll find that they're not. But a lot of them are out there forging signatures and doing all this stuff, right? It's just another form of fraud. Right. I said more often than not, the property is usually unoccupied, foreclosed, or abandoned. And that happens in the case with a few people that I've come across who may be realtors working on homes, and the homes are not finished yet, or like they said, abandoned or foreclosed, right? And we know that, hey, people, there are hard times coming down on all of us, right? What just happened a few years ago with the pandemic set a lot of people out, put a lot of people out of their homes, and they haven't been able to recover financially. So they're doing what they got to do. So it's not about having a cold heart towards people, but at the same time, you got to look at the owner of the homes and what they're going through too, right? You just can't look at poor John out there. He lost his job, his kids and all this, they're out on the street and stuff like that. Yeah, that's a very, very unfortunate situation. But then you got to look at the other side as well. The owners is losing money there, right? They're on the brink of even losing the property itself because payments not being made. They're not able to rent it out or do whatever they want to do with it, and they're losing a significant amount of money in the process too. So whose side would you take on this? Well, obviously, you're probably going to take the legal side, right? Because that's supposedly this country is built on laws, and not saying all the laws are right, but yeah, you just got, you just can't sympathize with the squatter. We understand that. Okay. All right. Says the laws with regard to squatters vary significantly from state to state, which is why it's essential to familiarize yourself with the rental laws of your state. Okay. So if you are a homeowner, property owner, it is essential, like it just said, very important to familiarize yourself with these laws and prepare, because you never know what one of your tenants are going to do, right? You don't know, or even a family member, or even a friend, right? You don't know the state of mind. When hard times come, people do some strange things. People that you thought you knew well, and I mean, so that happens. Another word for squatting is adverse possession. And in certain situations, it's possible for squatters to gain the title to the property. Now that's the scary part, Said in certain situations, they can gain the title to the property, just snatching that thing from right up under you. That piece of property that you worked probably years for, all your life, and that's probably was your ticket right there, gone. For this reason, it's very important to stay on top of things to ensure you remain in full control of the property, guys. Don't be slack. Don't be lax. If you have a relative, especially an older relative, right, family member that has a home, and that family member is getting older, their mental faculties may be declining, or they may not even be physically able to defend themselves like they used to because they're older. And, you got to watch them, and you got to make sure that their stuff is in order too. That's your responsibility to look after your family, so this won't happen to them. Okay, because it can happen real fast. And I hate to say that, you got to be controlling over your mother or father or whoever, your uncle, grandmother, because they may have a significant other, right? Older people have girlfriends and boyfriends too, right? So, and that significant other may not have the best interests of that person at heart. Or even in the case of an older person that has a home care service that's being provided to him, like a home care nurse, or somebody like that, somebody that may be staying in the home with them, taking care of them. They may have diabolical plans too. Guys, this happens all the time. This is this is a pretty ugly aspect of life and human nature. Unfortunately, it is what it is. So if you have older individuals in your family, watch out for them that have property, right? And you're not living with them. You got to be on top of that. Okay. Hold on. Let's go back to the chat and say, hey, Mike Reed, how you doing, man? Glad to see you. Give me your thoughts on this squatter situation. What do you think about it? And I framed it around home improvement, because guess what? You may want to come in there and remodel your home and all that, and lo and behold, you got a squatter on the property stopping you from even doing anything. Okay. So I thought it was a good tie-in right there to the home improvement world. And it is a kind of a hot topic too. So, anyway, guys, what else? What else should you look out for? Okay. What is the difference between squatting and trespassing? Well, according to this article, it says a squatter knowingly and willingly occupies someone else's property without permission. Okay, that's pretty obvious. With the claim of ownership. Well, wait, hey, I don't know. Sometimes a squatter does have permission because they came in under false pretenses, right? The owner knows them already a lot of times. And so, yeah, that without permission, I'm not too sure about that. They can overstay their welcome or overstay the lease. On the other hand, a trespasser is someone that knowingly and willingly occupies someone else's property without their permission. Okay, I think it made a mistake in this article. It says it should have said for squatters with or without. Then I wouldn't have to correct them. Is a holdover tenant a trespasser? What's a holdover tenant? That's a person that remains on the property after the lease has expired. And as a landlord, they got a couple of options when it comes to that, okay? They can let the tenant continue living on the property, okay? And the tenant can still live there according to the same terms as before, and they will still be required to, stick to the same terms as the what they call the exiting lease or rental agreement. Okay. The other option is that the tenant, is to request or ask that the tenant leave the premises. Like if you have one of these holdover tenants, just ask them, hey, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. If they don't leave, okay, you can file what's called an unlawful detainer lawsuit in court. But these things take forever sometimes to go through the system, all the bureaucracy and stuff like that. So yeah, those are two options. Now, in that last option, the tenant could just say, man, I'm not listening to you. I'm gonna stay here. And they just, at that point, they become a squatter. Okay. They become, they become a trespasser, what they call a criminal trespasser. Okay. So as far as the actual squatting, or what they call adverse possession, all right, it says a principle in real estate law that allows the squatter to claim ownership rights to a property. That's what it is. So they can claim rights. The trespasser can't. Trespasser, according to the law, is actually committing a crime. All right. But with squatters, they can claim full ownership of the property, and they don't even own the thing. I mean, but I just don't get it. I just don't get why. Can somebody fill me in on why that is? Can somebody fill me in on why that is? Mike said it hurts property owners. Yes, it does hurt property owners severely. I mean, I'm talking about not just in terms of emotional distress, but financial distress as well. It's put a lot of people, I mean, in the poorhouse, squatters, right? Mike said, plus the cost to file with the court. Yeah, all of that. That's all part of the financial distress. Not just the income they're losing from the property not being able to make money for them, but the cost of taking it through the courts. It's like any other lawsuit. It can drain you. It can drain you severely. All right. Okay, so that's what that is. Let's look at some more some more legal terms here. What is the color of title? Color of title. All right, so there are 5 different conditions that must be followed for adverse possession to be applicable. In other words, in order for the squatter to actually legally claim rights, full rights to a property: continuous possession, actual possession, hostile claim, wow, open and notorious possession, and exclusive possession. Color of title, I brought it up just now, is a phrase in property law that refers to gaining property ownership without all the required documentation. Right. Okay. In the United States, a squatter must meet 5 distinct requirements before making an adverse possession claim. Number 1 is a hostile claim. Just mentioned that. Okay. It doesn't mean violence or aggression, but it has to do with 3 things. Simple occupation. Okay. Most states, including where I am, California, goes by this rule. It defines hostile as an occupation of the land only. The person trespassing doesn't have to know who the actual property owner is. So that means somebody just can walk on the property or land and take possession of it. That's crazy. But back in the days, that's how they did it. I mean, let's face it, that's how America was, in a sense. America was formed, right? In a sense, right? The other aspect is awareness of trespassing. This requires that the trespasser knows that they don't have legal rights to occupy the property. So they have full knowledge that they don't have rights, but they do it anyway. Then there's a good faith mistake. It says only a handful of states allow this rule. A trespasser may be relying on an invalid or incorrect deed to occupy a property. In other words, as they were unaware of the property's legal status, they were occupying the property in good faith. Yeah, I mean that's understandable, right? Let's just say the documents were there were a mistake on the documents or something like that, and they took possession of the property without knowing all this. That's okay. I can get that. Another right's called exclusive possession. It says a squatter must occupy the land or building exclusively. In other words, they must be the only ones living on the property. Sharing it with other people like strangers or tenants could invalidate their claim to the property. Now, anybody who understands these squatter rights would say, okay, this is mine now, and anybody who comes on here, I'm going to kick them out or make sure that they don't come on here or come on the property with me, right? Which probably makes sense to a lot of people that know that are dealing with this. Yeah, because they're going to kick anybody else off the property, because they know if someone else comes on the property, they're going to lose any claim to the property. Okay. Okay. The next one is open and notorious possession. Interesting term. It says with this rule, the squatter must make their occupation obvious to everyone. Even the actual property owner must be able to tell that someone is squatting on their property. Wow. Okay. So they're just openly declaring, look, I'm squatting on here and you can't do anything about it. So the squatter's acting, if the squatter's like being secretive about it, okay, or acting with secrecy, as they cite, not conducting themselves how an actual property owner would, their claim would be invalid. So if you're gonna do it, man, you need to do it all the way. You can't just be pretending like you just being in secret about the whole thing, right? Actual possession, and there's probably by me doing this live, it's probably gonna maybe somebody out there watching this and saying, oh, okay, let me learn my rights so I can do this right. But that's it's always a risk to that. But actual possession, that's the next one. This is also another requirement that a squatter must meet, and it says the squatter must physically live on the property and be treating the property like they would their own. It's kind of like the last one. For instance, they might make improvements to the property or beautify it. Okay. Yeah, go all the way if you're going to do it, right? Continuous possession. A squatter is also required to have occupied the property for a specific duration of time to make an adverse possession claim. In other words, they got to be on that property for a certain amount of time in order to claim or claim full rights to the property. If they abandon the property for a while, weeks or months, then they can lose rights. My question is, why do they have rights in the first place? I mean, why are they being given? I mean, I just don't get it. I'm reading all this and I'm wondering, okay, this is like 5 rules that give squatters rights that I just read to you guys. Why do they have rights anyway? Is the question. I have an idea. And it goes back. It probably goes back to the founding of this country, to be honest. But you guys can take that how you want to take it. However, in the case of vacation properties, adverse possessors may be allowed to spend time away from the property if this is consistent with how the true owner would have acted. My guys, did you just hear that? You can actually go on vacation as a squatter if it's a vacation property. If the owner actually goes on vacation, that's the norm for this property to be vacated at certain times a year or something like that. You as a squatter can come on there and do the same thing. Act how the true owner would have acted. I mean, guys, you just hear what I said? That's called continuous possession. Well, not continuous possession, but a way to, in a sense, overrule the continuous possession right. Go find a property that's a vacation home, and you can leave it and come back to it, and it's yours. As a squatter, you can say, "Oh yeah, I was on vacation. It's mine." So that continuous possession stuff doesn't matter. Amazing. Okay. Let's see here. What else, guys? How to get rid of squatters in the state of California? Well, here's some stuff I'll read that I saw didn't work, but there are options. Consider paying them to leave, right? While it may not be ideal, this can save you valuable time in the long run and prevent legal complications. Yeah. Okay. I saw that happen where people said, the hell with your money. This is my property. Because you got to think about it. If you're a squatter, if you take that money, you're going to go have to find a place to rent, possibly, because, I would assume that it's hard to find places, even though it's a big thing now. It's not that easy to find an abandoned house or a rental property that's not occupied or an unoccupied, property, right? I mean, if you come up on one, so to speak, then great, but it's not, So a lot of people, then even if they're offered money, they're not going to leave because they already have what they need, right? It just make it worse for them to leave unless they just, they got other options. Consider renting the property to them. Okay. It says this may help invalidate their adverse possession rights, creating a situation where everyone is happy. I don't know about that. It says serve them an eviction notice. Well, that's going to take forever. If the two options above fail, consider filing an unlawful detainer suit in court. Well, it takes you back to the whole court thing. I mean, you could be tied up in court forever trying to get people out of there, and you're losing thousands upon thousands of dollars. And even if you do get them out of there, you still lost all that money. Hire professional legal services. If the squatters don't respond within the time they get the notice, whatever notice you serve them, the lawsuit notice, you can escalate the eviction process further. If the court rules in your favor, the property will be handed back to you. Yeah. Once again, it's a time factor, right? How long will that take? All right, here's the tips. Inspect your rental property regularly. I just talked about that earlier. These are the tips to protect yourself from squatters. Secure all entrances. Put no trespassing signs throughout the property. If you do find a squatter, then you want to serve them immediately with an eviction notice. Hire professional services, legal services. Hire a qualified property management. Hire a qualified property management company. And they're not all qualified, by the way. All property management companies are not the same. They won't look after your property like you think they will. So if you find a good one, I guess you'll have to vet them. How do you vet them, though? I guess through word of mouth, the reputation. I guess so. Or you can call the squatter hunters. Squatter hunters, they'll get them out for you. I happen to know the guy who runs Squatter Hunters personally, and he gets the job done. So you can definitely go to squatterhunters.com and put in a request if you need help in this in this way, or if you know somebody that needs help. Because you can't do home improvement if you got this stuff going on. Okay. Anyway, guys, that's my take on it. Thought I'd educate you guys on that. And let's see who's in the house here. Shout out to Chantel. Hey, Chantel, how you doing? Glad you can make it. I ain't heard from you in a while. It says someone told me today that a tenant has been squatting for 2 years. Yeah. They can have squatters on the property for way more than 2 years. Trust me. Okay. Because it can take that long to get them out of there. You know what I mean? And once again, guys, like I said in the beginning, it's not who you think it is. It could be the average Joe. It can be the guy, with a briefcase in his hand with a suit and tie with a 6-figure job. I'm telling you, you know. So don't be so quick to judge. You don't know. You just don't know, right? It can be a church member. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, guys, thanks for coming in, Mike, Chantel, and whoever watched in the replay. Appreciate you guys. See you guys next time. Hopefully you got some tips from this live. Feel free to share it. Don't forget to subscribe. Okay, subscribe and check out the Calibrate.com site. We got some great products over there. It helps support the channel. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good one, guys.